If you enjoy the content on this channel, please like and subscribe. Past Lives is a 2023 American romantic drama film written and directed by Celine Song in her feature directorial debut. Starring Greta Lee, Teo Yoo and John Magaro, it follows two childhood friends over the course of 24 years while they contemplate the nature of their relationship, living different lives. The plot is semi-autobiographical and inspired by real events from Song's actual life. Past Lives premiered at the Sundance Film Festival on January 21st, 2023 and was released theatrically in the United States on June 2nd, 2023. The film received critical acclaim and was named one of the top 10 films of 2023 by the National Board of Review and the American Film Institute, and received various accolades, including 5 nominations at the 81st Golden Globe Awards, including Best Motion Picture Drama. At the 96th Academy Awards, it received nominations for Best Original Screenplay and Best Picture. The story is about Nora and Hang Sung, two deeply connected childhood friends, who are wrested apart after Nora's family immigrates from South Korea to Canada. 20 years later, now with Nora living in the United States, they are reunited for one fateful week as they confront the notions of love and destiny. And Han Sung meets Nora's now husband, Arthur. Some trivia notes. In an interview on June 2nd, 2023 on NPR with Alice Chang, Greta Lee indicated that she found it amusing that when she told her family and friends that she was taking this role, many of them were surprised and wondered if she could even speak Korean. Despite his character's thick accent and broken English, Teo Yoo, who portrays Hang Sung, actually speaks very fluent English along with 3 other languages. In a profile of Greta Lee in the New York Times on May 30th, 2023, writer-director Celine Song indicated she tried to keep Lee and Teo Yoo separated as much as possible to help the scenes where their two characters finally meet in person after long separation. In a 2023 interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Celine Song spoke about the real-life event that inspired the film. "There's a bar in the East Village that I ended up in because I was living around there," she would say. "And I was sitting there with my childhood sweetheart who flew in from Korea. Now he is a friend who only speaks Korean, and my American husband who only speaks English. And I was sitting there trying to translate between these two guys, trying to help them communicate, and I felt like something really special was going on. I was sort of becoming a bridge or a portal between these two men, and also in some ways these two worlds of language and culture. Something about that moment really sparked something in me, and then it made me feel like I really could make this into a movie. So it started from a pretty real thing that happened to me actually in real life. Then of course, in the making of this movie, it comes from a subjective experience that sparks the whole story into an object, which is the script, and then from there, an actual movie." Both Teo Yoo and Greta Lee previously lived in the East Village of Manhattan, where many of the scenes of the film had been shot, according to an article in the New York Times published on May 30th, 2023. The Skype scenes between Nora and Hang Sung were filmed in the same time in 2 different sets, connected by a cable with a built-in throttle on the connection, meaning a delay could be adjusted or paused to get an authentic reactions from the actors. This is now the second film directed by an Asian woman to be nominated for an Academy Award for Best Picture after Nomadland, which actually won the Best Film in 2020. During a scene in the bar towards the end of the movie, the song that can be heard is Don't Look Back, a song from the 1965 Irish group Them, featuring Sir Van Morrison. Director Celine Song did not let Teo Yoo and John Magaro meet before shooting their first scene together, so when Arthur and Hang Sung meet for the first time, it is true that the actors also met for the very first time. The shot that was eventually in the movie ended up being the first take. Celine Song deliberately had the 2 main characters walk from right to left at the very end of the movie. For her, a timeline is always represented as going from left to right, so when they're walking together they are going into the past. When Hang Sung gets into the taxi, he goes into the past even further, and then Nora walks back home left to right. She's going back into the future. Like Na Young, Nora, director Celine Song moved with her parents, her dad being a filmmaker, from Korea to Canada. She later settled in the United States, started playwriting and married a writer. The closing scene with Hang Sung in the back seat of the Uber, with the motion moving from left to right, hints at an unknown future. It is reminiscent of when the 2 12-year-olds are leaving the South Korean park, with the younger Hang Sung also seated next to and gazing with seeming satisfaction out of the right rear of the passenger seat window. Now I found this to be a beautifully touching, human interest sensitive story that focuses on 2 central characters as they deal now with what life brings them, and how no matter where they end up in the world they have this deep-rooted connection, albeit that they can never ever be together. This is a remarkable debut from writer-director Celine Song, and you can tell that the story is one of a personal nature, and she adds a lot of her own true-life experiences to the story. The film is put forward with restraint, and is really a modest production. It really relies on its intimacy, its human scale of portraying emotional connections. and relies on the simplicity of its humble set and locations. However, I do love the use of Seoul and of course later on New York as an added character, if you will. This is not a film about visual spectacle, but rather about the strengths of its dynamic cast. It's fundamentally a simple story, yet it's a real-life one. It's about a woman who moves from her home of Korea, adapts to a new culture in North America, and moves on with her life, but then reconnects with her old childhood friend. The two had a deep connection with each other, even though they were so young. And it's just fascinating now to watch the juxtaposition between the two cultures and how these two main characters have gone on different paths and lived different lives. This is a beautiful story told in a subtle and real way. And with the likes of filmmakers Daniel Shinnett and Daniel Kwan, who of course won the best film at the 2023 Oscars for Everything Everywhere All at Once, and even the likes of Christopher Nolan praising the film, you can see why this film has been lauded by filmmakers and critics alike. The acting is absolutely stunning here. Greta Lee is superb in this role. She's likeable, relatable, and so real, and invokes a real sort of sympathy at times, but at other times you can feel almost frustrated with her, particularly in the way she deals with her now current husband, Arthur, played with a sensitive brilliance by John Magaro. The star of the piece, though, has to be Teo Yoo as Hae Sung. He plays this complicated Korean man beautifully, and you can see his unwavering deep feelings for Nora Moon. Yet he can never act upon them. And the scene in the Central Park where the two meet for the first time in over 12 years is just absolutely spellbinding. You feel his anxiety and tension as he now waits to see how she will receive him. The scenes too between Hae Sung and Arthur when they meet are awkward and uncomfortable, but deliberately so. And the two actors invoke these emotions with such realism. Like I said, this is fundamentally a very simple, romantic love story, but with a very sad undertone. It doesn't play out like a fantasy story. It plays out how real life really does work. That even though in many ways these two people are meant for each other, because of life's decisions, not always their own, they never will be together. With this beautiful, poignant script, superb direction here from the debutante Celine Song, and magnificent acting from all three of the leads, Past Lives is a sensitive, beautiful piece of filmmaking. Past Lives gets a 9 out of 10.